Alright, buddies, the implications of this game is absolutely crazy. Yesterday, we had Royal Never Gave Up beating Samsung Galaxy. Something that wasn't expected. G2 Esports had a very hard time against Samsung Galaxy, and now they're facing the team that just beat them. They have the coach Firefox. Not Google Chrome, but they have Firefox. Let's take a look what Firefox has in store for us. This game is massive. This game is huge. And the reason I'm skipping ahead and doing this game instead of the fifth game of the day is because I actually don't have time. I will do the fifth game tomorrow, and that is my bad, you know. I didn't expect the TSM game to be a 2-hour review. So I am kind of off schedule, and I will do it first thing in the morning. Today, RNG is treating us with some Sejuani. Sejuani, the response is Lulu. Zaya is banned on blue side. Kog'Maw is also banned, and Javan is out. First pick is Sejuani with the Gragas ban as well. This is interesting because a lot of the good junglers, the junglers that we've considered together, the best junglers, they have been taken off the board, with RNG also first picking Sejuani. So that is intense. That is intense. That is interesting. We can see right here that Rek'Sai is the champion that has been picked. Very unique because G2 hasn't been the team that has been the most active in the early game. So this is going to be a different kind of approach. Sejuani outscales Rek'Sai and has a more powerful ultimate. And also trading against Rek'Sai, Sejuani's passive works perfectly against Rek'Sai because Sejuani has her passive. Sure, Rek'Sai can try to break it with its Q, which is what he has to do. If he doesn't, Sejuani will outtrade. Otherwise, it's in favor of Rek'Sai early trading. The response is Lulu Tristana, which is fine, right? We've been talking about how Tristana becomes top tier AD when Kog'Maw and Zaya and Kallista's out. Kallista, we don't have to count on Kallista anymore. She doesn't exist in the game. The response is Janna Twitch. Got to keep that ardent sensor going. Janna has seen a lot of success. I feel like Janna might be even better than Lulu. And Janna was picked here together with our boy Twitch. Something that has gone under the radar is Sivir. No one's playing Sivir Janna anymore. That could be a lane that could be interesting in terms of pushing. But Twitch obviously is a champion that scales very well into the game. Can do fine in the lane phase early on, but I think Lulu and Tristana will have an edge in bottom lane phase, and then later as the game goes, I think Twitch can create situations that are very beneficial for him. Next thing that comes up is the Rek'Sai pick. Rek'Sai pick followed by a Syndra ban and a Galio ban. Syndra ban highlighting the pick that they want to first pick. LeBlanc and Cassiopeia banned from the blue side. To make sure that RNG also have a blind pick champion that they can take away in the mid lane, if that's the case. All mid laners, all top laners are open. I love that the teams are transitioning to blind picking Maokai over Cho'Gath, because I feel like Cho'Gath as a champion can be punished so hard. And even in this case, Tristana, Lulu, Ryze, it's hard to reach anything. Sure, you have some engage from Sejuani, but it's not too reliable, Not so reliable like a Jarvan or something like that, So I'm a big fan of this transition we have towards Maokai. Ryze is a blind pick. As you know, I'm not too big of a fan of it. It can be fine against Twitch, right? Maybe if Twitch opens, he can also look to trade with him, but Twitch has a massive range advantage over Ryze, so this is an issue for Ryze later on. He's going to be a menace in the split push, and Ryze is the blind pick. He's going to do fine in mid lane. He's going to be very strong in mid. I think Ryze as a mid laner is one of the strongest in the game, but in the current meta, he is not as strong as some other mid laners. So I feel like if you only are picking mid to win mid, then I think Ryze is a good thing to your team. But when it comes to the long range of a lot of the other champions, these are the ones that are going to carry you the game. And in this case, RNG are responding with the Jace. Not too sure about the Ryze Jace matchup. I was under the impression that this is a hard one for Jace. I would have to ask Nuktak what Nuktak thinks about it, because he's the Jace master. but let's just assume that Yahoo knows what he's doing. Illusion was still in the game, and I think Rise is happy being into Illusion because he can root him down and he cannot dash, and it's a on-click kind of thing. And Jace as a champion, you know, it's strong in early game, doesn't have an ultimate, has a lot of power in his early game abilities, will be able to trade onto Rise early on, but I think the further the game goes in, the Rise is going to be stronger than Jace. Maokai is the blind pick, and the last response is Gnar. Interesting to see Expect playing the counter matchup up top lane. Gnar as a champion loses split push against Jace. That is important to remember. Gnar as a champion does well into Maokai, but doesn't necessarily hard stomp Maokai in the early game. I think that's the case for Gnar. Most matchups when it comes to Gnar, he doesn't hard stomp them in the early game. He scales into the matchups when he gets that Black Clear, he gets that Frozen Mallet, and all of a sudden it's going to slowly and safely change. Interesting here with the Jace. Is going to create a different situation here for them. The main thing here, why I like the Gnar pickup here for G2, is that they are lacking so much engage, so it's good that they have some split push priority here. But the main thing here is if Jace is being put up against Gnar, then Gnar is going to lose. If Baron is relevant and Baron is the name of the game, then Jace will have to go top right unless he runs TP. And it seems like Maokai is going to be the one running TP and going to match bottom with Gnar, and hopefully Expect can cause some pressure hard enough to force Royal Never Give Up to be the ones engaging here, because in the end they have an easier time of retaking vision because they have the Sejuani, they have the tank picks, they have a much easier time face checking bushes and face checking the river and retaking vision when G2 esports have actually taken that over. But when G2 don't have vision, they will have a hard time face checking. They will have to check with abilities, and hopefully Gnar can pressure hard enough to create an advantage for his team when it comes to this. Personally, I like having a split pusher when you are lacking engage. I think it's also in the hands of G2 to create something early game here. Sure, Gnar scales into his matchup, he can do fine. He has the Rek'Sai to back him up early game. And Lulu and Tristana should be pushing early game. I think they should be able to outtrade Twitch and Janna. And then, depending on how it goes for Rise here in the mid lane, we have a cleanse on Jace, no TP as we talked about earlier. And it's all about what Rek'Sai can create here in the early game, and if G2 can actually get the first turret for themselves, maybe the first dragon. The beauty of the situation here for G2 is that they have the early game composition, and the first Drake of the game is Infernal Drake. So that is very positive for their combo here. RNG, the later they get into the game, the harder, of course, Twitch will scale. It's hard for me to find, you know, it's not necessarily that G2 scale bad. They have the better early game, I would say, on paper because of their picks. And the main thing is here with RNG is that they have two tanks. They will have an easier time playing around Baron. They'll have an easier time grouping up. They will scale in that kind of fashion. They will scale in the 5v5, I feel. The main thing here is that G2 can itemize heavily towards armor, because the main damage dealers on RNG are physical damage with the Twitch and the Jace. We will have to pretty much just wait and see what will happen in the early game. This game seems to go on for a very long time. I'm excited to see the outcome, because this has so many implications for G2, the European hope. Well, to be honest, Misfits is the European hope. They just beat TSM. Misfits is the European hope. But we still want more European teams passing through, right? Alright. G2 Trick got that leash onto the red buff from his Gnar. RNG should be aware of this. You can see that Expect got some rage. You wouldn't fake leash this to give up the presence in mid. And Trick is starting with the red buff and transitioning into the golems up top. He's doing a three topside, 3 camp topside clear is what I'm trying to say. I'm just losing my words, and I'm using my words so much the past few days that I'm losing them. I'm like running out of words to use. Alright. MLXG on the case. He got a leash on his red buff. G2 seems to be pushing bot lane, having some presence there. Interesting call choice by Sven. This is the second time I've seen him buy it. I actually like it because the bottom lane matchups don't seem to be that explosive, and on top of that, if you have the Lulu, you should be stronger than the Janna lane, so I like it. Relic Shield on Twitch with triple potion. Trick is now trying to avoid wards. He killed the crab already topside, which should spot MLXG here. I think he was spotted, and what he's doing right now, if anything, is trying to find Trick. But I think in the case where he face checked him here, he would have been in danger. Maybe he could just Q away. Would have been fine. The lane now for expect is slow pushing, and MLXG is just going in here to check the golems. Alright, he knows everything. It means that G2 Trick is in the bottom side of the map now, and MLXG can just safely base, and knowing this, nothing's gonna happen too much. We have Rise in base. Trick can't really dive bottom either, and that's what it's all about, you know. Rise is in base. Trick can't really pressure anything. He's going to probably secure the bottom side crab, and the advantage Trick has now that he has a more efficient clear because he did golems and his raptors very early on in the game, and he has 2 crabs, so his kind of money kind of camps are going to spawn faster. Usually like the raptor camps and the golem camps is what gives you the big money, the easy money, and those are going to spawn very early for Trick. He has a lot of money here to work with, and he's going to just base and pick up his jungle item. MLXG did like a less efficient path, and you know, his path kind of relies on killing crab, and if he doesn't get crab, he doesn't have enough money to buy the jungle item. Doesn't have the jungle item, just continues to clear. Maybe we'll see him base after killing raptors and golems, and then go towards top side. I think he's just gonna base up here and maybe path into bottom to create some pressure. Let's see now what he does. Doesn't base, walks towards the river. Gonna use the plant to maybe clear some wards. Bottom side, trades are going in favor of G2, but we need to keep in mind that Uzi has a lot of potions, a lot of potions, and that is going to eventually like heal him up slightly. MLXG is doing some sneaky stuff here. Sneaky stuff. You know, he's under the assumption that either Rek'Sai is here or he based and Rek'Sai is going topside, right? And since he got the vision of the topside camp, he sees when it goes yellow, so he can make that assumption that Rek'Sai might be there. He avoids now the crab. He's in bottom now. Sneaky beaky. This is crazy, MLXG. This is crazy how he gets in here. The trade commences. Uzi is backing off. This is a bait. This is a heavy bait. Now, the main thing here, G2, they have the information on topside. Rek'Sai is invading topside, and the camps topside were spawning for Sejuani. And Sejuani did the clear where she did red buff into topside, camps into trying to take crab, and right now Rek'Sai knows his topside camps are up, so MLXG doesn't have a lot of options here. Either he has to be on bottom side. He's just fapping around bot side, and G2 know this because there's no other option for him. No other option for him. Perks is in mid lane or in top lane, going for the dive. Let me should die here. The root comes in, the long one. It was the E into a root. Expect taking. Ooh, expect too. Not that great. Not that good. He doesn't need to die here. He has flash, obviously, and he should just flash her instead of Eing because the E animation is so much slower. So he takes another turret shot. He could just flash out and survive. Unnecessary that he dies. Good roam from Perks. This is a good roam because they lose a lot of CS here. They lose a lot of CS to the tower, and they're losing similar amounts in mid lane. But it's all good because they also pick up a kill, right? The first blood. And G2 didn't die to the gank bottom. They are Lulu is staying in lane, and Tristana is basing. Very similar to what G2 did in the previous game when they faced, I think it was Fenerbahce, when they got a good base on Tristana and Lulu stayed and they didn't lose any CS, and then the enemy based and they were in a worse position. So right now the lane position now for Tristana is perfect. Lulu can base for free. She got to farm 2 CS for herself, and they are very content with this situation. Right here we can see the replay where Expect should have flashed instead of eat. He could have also just walked downwards instead of walking towards here, because he's angling himself to be closer to the turret. He's just walking in the wrong direction. I feel like he could have walked downwards, but it seems like he just wants to get the clean Q onto him. But Expect could have survived 100% and didn't need to die at all. maokai could have potentially also flashed, but he just saved it for the next upcoming situation. Let Me Now is pretty deep. Let's see if Ryze can ult here to TP onto him. maokai still has TP, so he is not in too much danger. Really, really good from G2 that they sniffed out the fact that RNG, they recognized the path that Sejuani took by looking at his CS whenever they spotted him, and they recognized the jungle path that Sejuani has been taking. It's very frequent, you know, they spotted him. The first time they spotted Sejuani was topside on the crab, and Sejuani was just doing this thing where she tried to get information about Rek'Sai's clear. She recognized that Trick is going to go into bottom because he's not committing into any pressure around mid. Ryze went into base, so you know that Rek'Sai was also on bottom side, and then Rek'Sai with the information about how many CS Sejuani had when they spotted him means that he knows that she did red, wolves, blue, Gromp into topside, and he went for the situation where he went for the golem spawn, and then he went topside and he would try to contest the camps that would later on spawn. The main thing here with Trick's clear is that his money camps, as I call them, they spawn faster. He gets to do them, and then he can invade the enemy kind of money camps as well. The wolves and the Gromp, he can go in here and invade them. And he went there knowing that either Sejuani is there or she isn't. If she isn't, she's on bottom side. If she is, then you know where Sejuani is, and they're fighting and doing good things, right? With this information, G2 managed to live, even though MLXG did all this sneaky business. So Trick playing this out very, very smart. He's getting the jungle camps, and eventually they did the dive top. So G2 is playing very, very good here in this game so far. Expect taking some unnecessary turret shots, but gets the trade back, no big deal. Trick now around mid lane, clearing some pink wards. I like this new pink ward placement that people are putting here behind the Raptor. It's to counter the ward people have been placing. People have been placing this ward that doesn't get triggered by the pink wards in the bush behind red. So there's like this bush here, right? Bush right here. People have been placing pink there, and instead they're placing their pink here to clear the ward that people like to place here, which is pretty smart. I like it. Berg's doing some heavy trading now in mid lane. Let's see where he goes on to next. Big deal now for G2 that they have this these pushing lane matchups both in mid lane because of the 1-0, and Ryze having a lot of mana to just burst down the wave, and G2 being able to pressure bottom at the same time with the good base they had. And G2 are playing very, very well so far. Drake is just starting up the Drake. Like, who is going to stop him? Like, it's kind of dangerous that Perks is currently basing, right, during this time. Expect gets rooted up. MLG should be able to hit his ultimates here, but he used his spells already. He used his Q and E here, so he doesn't have any damage to follow up, so the ult would just be wasted here. I think it's a wise choice not to waste the ult. Main thing here for RNG is that they're just trying to equalize the play into bottom. G2 have a free turret bottom, and they know that people are being committed into bottom. Main thing here that Perks could do is he could support top lane, and potentially G2 could just defend this. Perks is just running up top. Rek'Sai could be pushing mid to make sure that they have some kind of priority, and that should be all good. Expect now has no flash, gets one-shotted before Perks arrives, and it's just not good. It's just not good to. It's not just good to do this. Alright, that was my doorbell, obviously. My food that I ordered in the last game has finally arrived. I am starving, I didn't eat all day. Alright, sorry, I'm getting a bit distracted. Thinking about food is driving me crazy. Alright, so G2 got the bot lane turret. RNG are trying to equalize by getting top side. Trick is getting the Drake at the same time, and Perks is roaming into top. He could potentially have taken a better path here. Well, let's say he took this path instead, he would be about here right now, and maybe he could be here already. Maybe he could be here already, and maybe he could like just jump in there, you know? He could just TP in there and save Expect, but it's also bad that Expect just dies here, like for no reason. He just get one-shotted before Rise appears, and he's just... Alright, you know, if he just waited a bit longer, then it would have been such a better situation. If Perks went straight top, it also would have been a better situation, but Expect has died now twice for no reason, and it's kind of making a dent into G2's very good early game. Like, it's been a very great early game now from G2, but Expect is kind of holding them back a little bit, I would say. Luckily, he's playing the pick that doesn't need to do much in the early game, and he just needs to do things later on. Expect is now in bot lane. RNG have all of a sudden taken a lot of damage onto the top tower. Not all of a sudden, but keep in mind there was a situation where Maokai was dove in, there was a lot of turrets hitting it, G2 was also hitting it, and the top tower for sure is not 100% healthy. This is the first time Sven is hitting it, I think. I'm not 100% sure, there was a replay, right? And the turret is already very, very low here, from all the dives and all the situations that were put up in top lane. Mid tower is pretty low though, because Jace was hitting it while the dive top was commencing. So that is important to keep in mind. There's a cleanse here on Jace. He's gonna cleanse and flash. No flash was used from Perks. He didn't have it from before. He tried to flash on MLXG and kill it. Uzi is using the ultimate now to clear the wave. Gets a really good trade onto Sven, so they're gonna save the turret for a bit longer here. A lot of damage onto Sven, a lot of crits here as well. The beauty of this build where you rush Hurricane on Twitch is that you get a lot of AD from Janna, for example, and you also get a lot of AD from your ultimate, so critting actually does a lot of damage. And you can also spread your AoE very effectively here. Twitch now has very little mana and has to base, no ultimate, makes him weaker. Sven managed to get some HP back by just auto-attacking the mini wave, using his World of Bloodlust, and using his Ardent Sensor on top of that, yeah. Beauty of Hurricane as well is that you apply Ardent Sensor to so many people, which is quite OP if you think about it, you know. Like, you don't apply Ardent Sensor, but you apply the damage from Ardent Sensor to a lot of people, to a lot of enemies. Alright. There's the Rift Herald that they just picked up because of the top lane situation. I think Uzi played it the best he could. This game is very reminiscent of Samsung versus RNG. Samsung being the team that had the weaker early game, and G2 being the team with the stronger early game here. Whoa, so Tristana just gets smackarooed. Completely smackarooed. Very good angle here found by MLXG. A flash had to be there, or maybe potentially Trick had to block it. I think even in the case where Trick was the one taking all this damage, he would have potentially died. Wild Growth came down from Mithy. Heal also came down. Barrier came down from Sven. The main issue here was that the angle of the Sejuani ult was just so good. It was just beautiful that they are finding this engage here. Maokai is in bottom and doesn't need to be a part of this at all, and RNG are not letting their turrets fall. It's very well played, and they are just taking the aggro of Rift Herald so he doesn't punch the turret with his Mega Punch. Let's see if G2 could have played this differently, right? They could have played around the fact that they have more vision. Maybe they could have auto-attacked the turret from this angle. Maybe they could have stood here and hit, and then MLXG would have a harder time to get a good ultimate. And then in a case where they back off into here, then they are kind of in a chokehold where Ryze can do a lot of damage. Maybe this would be the plan for them. just play around this area, because they do have vision here. You can see it on minimap. I'm crossing it out. Here is the area where they're completely blind. In this line is what they don't see, and actually they don't see this area, right? This is fog of war right now. So to work around the fact that this is a dead zone for them, they could play around just this area, this space, and hit the tower here. It doesn't take a lot of damage here. Like, sure, if they're gonna take the full turret, then it's very easy for RNG just to walk forward here and not care about it. But if you can see here, if they use this space that I just painted here in yellow, then it would be harder, and G2 would be like together, and if RNG tried to commit in this space, they would just lose. The main thing is that G2 would just have to walk around into mid lane to come back into here, and that would be the only problem, right? The only problem for G2 is that they would have a bad position for mid, but it's easy for them to retake it with no big issues, because the enemy team have to deal with Rifthold anyway. Alright, let's continue. So Sven died, not a big deal. Mid tower is still very, very low, but it's good to see that RNG is still very proactive. Tristana kill transitioned into mid priority, Jace roaming into bottom for a bottom tower. Is Expect just on the wrong side of the map? That is the question here. Expect is running top when he should be matching with Maokai in bottom. Like, he should be matching with Maokai in bottom right now. He went into mid, into walking top again, and G2 just lose the tower. Well, Trick is also top side, right? So are they just accepting that this tower has dead? Is it a problem that Expect went to the wrong lane to begin with? Like right now, Expect should be walking bottom, right? Like right now, Expect should be walking into bot. And then, because Rise is going top. Like what is Expect that doing here? Like what's happening here? Like where is he going? He's going through top. Rise is going straight mid. When in reality, Nar should be right here right now. He should be right here, and if anything, he should be right here fighting this guy, the Maokai. But instead, he's here. Like what's he doing here? What is the plan? What is the idea? Man, what is the plan of what Expect is doing here? He's going to go top to do what? To push the wave. This is the wave that is for Rise. This is the Rise wave, and you go bottom and you go into bottom and just match the Maokai. You don't have to avoid the Maokai, you can pressure the Maokai, and then Maokai doesn't get the pressure, and then Rise can go top, and then it's fine, right? In this case, you know, sure, Tristana died, so the situation changes. But imagine a situation where Gnar is actually bottom and he's pushing the wave. They don't lose bottom tower now. They don't lose bottom tower. So Jace can walk down there. The only reason he can walk down there is because there's a wave stacking towards the turret that Maokai has been stacking here. He's coming in with the wave Maokai, and it's just been untouched. And Expect can't really out-tempo the Maokai that's been pushing bottom. He should have just went bottom. He should have just matched. Maokai is bottom, you had to match. Expect can't go top and force Maokai to come there because Maokai had priority. So Nar just had to match. I think this is a big mistake here. So once again, I feel like this is the space that G2 have to work with. Didn't happen. It was a clean engage from MXG though, and you know, sure, Sven could have flashed or whatever, but that could have hit anyone, and that could have been like a kill onto anyone for sure. Ninja Tabis now all across the board on G2. They know what's up. It's all about that physical damage, you know. Of course, Jace loves to itemize armor penetration. The way you make armor penetration useless, you just buy some flat armor. We continue forward. Let's take a look here. Now I was walking through mid lane. Is Nar just playing this wrong? Like right now it's fine that he's in mid lane, right? Because his team, as long as he's walking towards top lane after the dragon, it's completely fine. I just want Nar to be more separated from his team and not group up as much, and I just want him to push the side lanes. Push the side lanes. It's going to be a lot easier for him when Jace doesn't have TP and has to like play top side, and he can just be bottom the entire time. But it's important that he just tries to match Maokai as much as possible. Top tower fell, top tower was already really low. RNG are now approximately like 2k gold behind. I think that's a fine situation to be when considering G2 having the stronger early game. So Ryze will want to match the Jace, which he should be very successful in. Jace, like Ryze loves games where he can itemize Hourglass because it's a good item. Because Hourglass is such a juicy item for Ryze because he can use it to TP away. And when he's in a game where he can buy Hourglass and it's actually cost efficient against the enemy team, then he's really, really happy. So Ryze is smiling right now. Nara's bottom against the Maokai. Nothing too intriguing, but G2, like I'm assuming Expect is just a bit scared here because he needs to wait for G2 to get some vision, so Sejuani is not there to pop him. Nara is not at that breaking point where he can 1v2 yet. He can still get CC down and slowly chunk down. And the moment he spots Sejuani, it's important that he starts the pressure as soon as possible, yeah? Pex has cleanse now, so he can just cleanse that off. He flashes. Don't know if flashing was necessary for Perks. If he wasn't ready to commit to this trade, what was the plan? What was the plan here from RNG? I mean, from G2. Are they taking this fight? Like, if G2 is committing to this fight, Perks needs to stand here and he needs to be ready for what's coming his way. And then the TP is coming in from a good angle. Like, if RNG is competing for the space here and committing here, I don't think Perks needed to flash. The cleanse was good, move away, and then RNG commits here. Nara's TPing, root whatever comes your way. Lulu can peel for you, you have a lot of armor as well, you're not gonna die. Trick is just gonna E in here, and they can start a fight for themselves. You know, but after he flashes out, I don't think it's much of a fight anymore, and RG could just back off because Nar is in the mix. Like, Trick was also being kind of a pussy. He was just running away. RNG, like G2's TP gets cancelled, and it looks like RNG is just gonna get a mid tower here. G2 are not in position. They are walking into the position. Maybe they don't. Yeah, doesn't seem like RNG can get mid tower. Yeah, alright, I was wrong. No biggie. Oh my goodness, excuse me for my yawning. I'm gonna be honest, it's been exhausting a couple of days. Very exhausting couple of days. Expect now has a level disadvantage against the Maokai that got Doven. You know, he has a level disadvantage, and he also has no TP, and you know, he's just getting pushed in here. Important now for G2 to try to get priority somewhere so they can get vision up top side, so they can start to see where this Sejuani is. It's very important that Nar here gets vision over Sejuani, and then he can start to push even further. He needs to push further and deeper, and that is like a big win condition here for G2. But I'm never comfortable with G2 when their win condition, one of the win conditions is Expect. Zen will have to do a lot of lifting in this game, I feel, and hopefully Perks can also dominate his side lane, because it should be the case. Like, he has Hourglass and he has armor against Jace. He should be able to like completely smash Jace right now, especially Jace. He fucking bought Ninja Tabi when he's going to lane against Jace for most of the game. So that is good. That is going to be a useless buy for him in the lane phase. Of course, it's fine against Gnar, Rek'Sai, and Tristana, but he's going to lane against Ryze for most of this game. Alright, alright. So G2 just have to maintain the push in mid. Expect needs to be like what the expect is doing here is right 100%. Like he pushed in the wave top and then roaming together to his team, waiting for his TP to come back up. All right. Gnar in the bot lane. All right. He has the TP ready again. Ryze should be able to just get priority up top lane. Jace is grouping now though, so he's doing the same because they don't want to lose this mid tower. Like if he goes and pushes next top wave here, while Jace is in mid lane, they're going to lose mid tower. So they're willing to contest this without pushing top. Top is slow pushing towards RNG. Ryze is missing. He didn't show. Like he did get spotted by a ward here, so he gets pinged out. Ryze is pushing the wave now, so G2 have to survive as 3 in mid lane, as Jace is pressuring the river right now. He's walking back up top instead. Seems fairly easy for the static shift to Tristana though, to just wave clear before RNG can just walk up to the turret. Now it's reversed again, where Ryze pushed in the wave and is going to pressure into mid. This is a very good situation for G2 to fight him because they are the ones with the priority from top lane. Ryze is moving across the map, and G2's bot lane was also here first. Very big deal here that Ryze is coming in first. We can see him moving on the map. G2 have to kind of disengage. They don't have any tools to engage heavily. That is one of their weaknesses. They can split push very, very well, but they can't engage that well. So it's important that they recognize when they've taken over space that they don't chase too deep, even though they had the Ryze ultimate there ready to go. They secured the second Drake of the game. G2 just have to keep playing this wave priority game because that's where they're strong. Gnar should have priority against Maokai from now on with the Black Cleaver, and Ryze will have priority against Jace. And then in mid lane, Lulu and Tristana with the static shift should be very, very safe to just clear whatever creeps come their way, and maybe even take a few risks every now and then to clear creeps even further. So that is the strength here of G2. The question now for me is that if they should mobilize Uzi a bit more, if they should just use him, like he's taking creeps in mid lane. If RNG start to roam a bit more with Uzi and put Jace in mid lane instead, maybe the outcome is better for them. They use Twitch on side lane instead of the Jace. They keep Jace in mid to wave clear. They can even keep Janna there, and maybe Sejuani Twitch can create something on a side lane. That could be a possibility for them for sure, because I think right now Twitch is going to have more success than Jace on the side lane. Maybe they can even keep Jace alone in mid lane, and maybe he can aim his EQs at the Lulu, and maybe he can create something like that. Lulu is itemizing armor now though, so she has a bit of armor. She's not that squishy as you might think. She has the Raptor's cloak. It's just important that RNG find a way to get pressure. A lot of bases are going down, back and forth. Perkz is just staying in mid because he was the one basing first, and then Dren is just taking over the torch. Don't like that Expect is basing at such an uneven time here. He's basing when his team has all based and now coming out, you know. So his situation is kind of suboptimal because you want to kind of pressure at the same time. And now Maokai has an opening for himself where TPing for him is very efficient and Gnar can't punish it. And we will have to see the situation that comes up now. Wild Growth not used. Trick has it. Trick still doesn't have flash. Alright, alright. While this happened, Perkz got the wave top. So Trick is playing a bit too aggressive here. He's walking back and forth, and He definitely got caught here, could have ended worse. The stun didn't proc from Sejuani. Could have ended worse here for Trick, but he managed to get away. That's why I don't like what Expected did, right? He based very late. He maybe needed money from Frozen Mallet, but macro-wise, he based late and didn't create pressure while Maokai was walking towards mid because he was in base. He didn't base together with his team, so you can see right now, like Rise was in base first. He came back into mid lane because he was in I think he was top side before he based. Like he cleared the wave top side, then based and walked towards mid lane to catch the next one. And then he was there until Tristana and Lulu came back, which was one wave duration. They're back in mid lane now. Rise clears one wave and they're defending the mid tower. So now everyone has reset and everyone's happy and everyone wants to pressure. Rise wants to use the wave up top and everyone is in a good state. But then expect just bases here for a chain vest. So I'm very unhappy about this. I think he should just stay around. This is the time where G2 want to pressure as a team. He should just stay around now and wait for the fact that Rise will push top. Then G2 as a team here will be able to step into this vision here and be fine. So during this time, it's important that G2 don't take any major risks while they're clearing this wave because Rise is up top. They have pink wards, a path here they've created for him to be safe in case he needs to go back in the mid lane. G2, they took the wave already, they should back up, let the Rise clear the top wave, and then eventually this will be fine. The main thing though, you could argue that Trick took this risk and it paid up because they get to spot where the Sejuani and Jace is, because there's a slight chance that they're waiting in some bush up top, right? But instead they get to see them here. Trick survives and there's no big issue. Mikael's is going to be a huge buy for Mithy when he finally gets it, because Sejuani ultimate is such a big deal behind how RG can engage onto some of these champions. 3 items now finished on Tristana, 3 big items. You could say that Twitch is in the same state, but he has a last whisper. There's a lot of armor going down on G2, so Twitch is kind of forced to buy these items. Let's see now who gets Maokai rooted. That's why I'm not too big of a fan of this. Like this wave bottom should be in the bottom tower right now, and Expect should make an effort to base together with his team. He's not being a split push threat grouping like this. He's not being a split push threat if he's basing at the wrong times. It's a very bad thing for G2 here that Gnar is really not creating any pressure and is just grouping. And if you want to group, then you just play your Chogats and you play your Maokais. Alright, so Sven gets one popped. He just gets clippity clapped. He just gets smashed in half and smashed in half again. So what happens here? Rise is clearing ward. No one is showing on vision. The fact that they have top priority doesn't mean anything because no one is clearing the wave here. So no one is here. That's number one. A lot of blind spots here. You can see that there's a lot of blind spots. Maokai is not seen right now. Jace is not seen. There's a lot of blind spots. So going into this choke here where they have no information is very dangerous. Very dangerous. So this is second mistake. First mistake, no one is showing top, so you have to play around it. There's people in this area. You're blind completely here. You're blind completely. The only thing you see is what's in front of you. And I'm not even sure if Uzi has ult, like if he's selted or not. So big issue here. Main thing is Sven got caught here, and no one on RNG was showing. Perks was clearing vision. Maybe you could even argue that that was a risk too. He's clearing vision here. He can always hourglass out, right, and ult and hourglass out, so it's not super risky. Everyone is here and Trick is in base because he was very low from the prior engagement. He just got chunked off, right? He just got chunked off, and G2 are taking unnecessary risks here. What can RNG do with this? Could go as far as giving them Nash, potentially. RNG have very good ways of turning. They have a lot of tools to turn on G2 in case G2 want to contest. Let's check onwards what is happening. G2, G2, G2. Losing that mid tower means a lot as well, because it means that Twitch has more space to play around with. If he wants to commit on someone or open on someone, he can pretty much, like, the amount of space he has to work with now is not only this area, right? He can work with these angles, he can work with these angles, he can work with so much more because his mid tower fell. So many more angles are opened up because mid tower is open, and that makes it much harder to keep track of Twitch. And that makes him better in mid lane now than he was before, because his mid tower fell when Sven got caught. And G2 did a very good job of maintaining this, and I'm not a big fan of what Expect is doing here all the time. He's not being a threat at all on the side lane, and I feel like this Gnar pick is just disappointing more and more, because Expect is grouping, sure. You could argue that they have to because they don't have vision on Nashor and they're pretty blind right now, but I feel like this has been a trend throughout the entire game. Right now, of course, like they are, G2 is completely blind at Nashor, so there's a possibility that they have to group up and walk up. I don't know if it's the right decision here for Perkz to clear top wave, but he does, so it means that G2 will get priority through mid on another wave, because RNG are not making much effort here. They're just standing on pink wards, and G2 cannot really walk up because Ryze is top lane. Uzai opens on the creeps, even though he clears these creeps alone. Like what G2 sees is, like, they have complete darkness here, complete darkness in this area, complete darkness here. They don't see anything what's going on, you know. So Twitch clearing the wave alone here doesn't mean anything, because 4 people could stand here in the bush and Ryze is out of position, so they would lose that fight if they took it. Let's continue. Ryze just needs to group up, and they need to get priority on one wave, and then they just have to try to create something. But Perkz taking a very dangerous path. Blue trinket on the Nashor. Perkz is doing the swagger move. Sejuani ult is ready. I just don't like what's going on here. Well, Expect is a lot less useful than the enemy champions. Sejuani is more useful than Rek'Sai at this point. Maokai is more useful than Gnar in a teamfight setting. I'm just talking about a teamfight setting. And Expect is just, he just doesn't take that risk, you know. The moment Jace goes top now to clear this wave, then G2 can finally breathe, because there's been a long period of time here where RNG could just been doing Nash. They could have just been doing Nash, and that makes it very hard for G2. And that maybe makes it a bit more understandable why Expect has been grouped for this entire duration, because finally now Jace showed top, G2 can finally breathe, clear some creeps, clear some pinks, put some wards of their own, and maybe finally now Expect can walk into bottom side. Didn't take long until RNG just stepped into here and cleared the vision. The biggest issue for G2, as we mentioned before, is that it's very hard for them to face check things. They can't face check things. They don't have the picks for it. They don't have champions to face check with. Sure, they could face check with Rek'Sai, but he's gonna die very, very fast. And RNG, when they've lost vision, very easy for them to retake it, and it's also very easy for them to maintain it, because G2 don't have any picks to face check with. So it's so important that Expect actually creates pressure. Okay, we got some crazy shenanigans here. Crazy shenanigans. Holy moly. The plant into bottom pit. Holy shit, they tried to pull a TSM here. Tried to pull a TSM where they were hoping that RNG were just doing the Drake together as 5, you know. Only Misfits would do that, you know, and RNG responded quick. G2 had to back off. Expect just needs to create presence from side lane. That's the only way for G2 to get convincing baron pressure right now. Ryze could go on the side lane maybe and accept, you know, that it's tough to get priority through mid. like, it's not even about priority. It's about G2 can get priority as 4, but main issue is that they just can't face check things. They just can't face check things, and that makes it very difficult for them if RNG just stand in the position where the Baron is. Five man in mid, Maoka is showing bottom, so that is positive. TP is not instant at this point in time, right? So they're using this opportunity to clear pink wards. These are pink wards that have lived for a very long time. These are like, you know, Hall of Fame pink wards that RNG placed on the Baron. So they're getting mid priority as we spoke about, and Jace and Twitch are showing up on the wave, gives them space to walk back into the Nash area. Lulu's basing now. She has completely empty wards, but she has 3 pinks and 1 ward in her inventory. Maybe it was enough for her to stay. RNG are now the ones grouping. Still no expecting bottom lane. Finally going down there. I hope he stays for a longer period. Very important now that G2 play together with the fact that they have this mid wave coming in. They should be grouped up for this, and they should be the ones pressuring this. Love how Jace is showing on the wave the moment the mid wave is dead. Mostly the situations that G2 are getting pressure in is when RNG is basing, or they are taking the side lane, the side wave. Expect still nowhere to be seen in bottom. He hasn't pushed the bottom wave past the river, and I feel like this is an issue. Grouping up with his team, just checking bushes with his Q. That's what he's for right now. Well, that's a pick-off. So the main thing here is they spotted Jace. They spotted Jace, and they also spotted that Sejuani is too far out. They spotted on this ward right here, and Jace is currently clearing a ward in the Baron pit. This is a very good pick-off here by G2. Whoa, 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 what the hell? What just happened? Twitch is one-shots the Lulu. Let's slow this down. Let's rewind that tape. Right, we see Twitch right now coming in from an angle. Mithy, boom, boom, pow. He didn't use a single thing. Didn't use a single thing. Holy. Holy moly. This looked so good. The start looked so good, but the position that G2's bot lane came from became so bad. So they're coming from this angle, and Uzi just manages to clip them from behind right here. Then the root lands on Mithy, he can't flash away. Uzi gets to one-shot him. Mithy doesn't get to use anything. Sven jumps into Uzi and gets killed. I thought this was looking really, really bright. You know, the main thing I feel that is the issue is the position of Lulu and Tristana. I think Lulu and Tristana just had to take the long path around here, so they would end up here. If they would take the long path around here, then Twitch would open on Nar. And like if they took the long path around here, then maybe they would just lose. There's a big chance that they can just one-shot Gnar before G2's bot lane arrives through here. They walk through here instead, and the Maokai ult is pretty huge. Like, to be fair, the path that they took, like if Mithy just continued forward, then it would have been a lot better. But Mithy kind of trolled here and just walked back into the Maokai ult. Like, yeah, the path they took was actually good, because Sven is in a good position right now. He's in a really good position. And then Mithy is just, he just walked back. He should have walked forward. And he got hit by Maokai ultimate, and G2 should have kept being grouped here and tried to walk out here, because they chunked Sejuani and they were in a good state, but they just jumped 2 people into Uzi here. Right now, like, trick. Sven just jumps into Uzi, I think he does. He gets the explosive satchel reset on W, and then the W into Uzi. Like, maybe if Perks can flash onto this, but he's just out of range. Like, they're getting slowed by the Sejuani ult. They cannot follow up on this. They should just keep being grouped here, because the situation is not completely doomed. Mithy didn't need to die like the way he did, and they should have definitely not committed on Uzi like they did. They just walked into a blender here pretty much. They all die, and I'm assuming RNG will just get Baron off of this. Let's take a look at what's good. I think it's very evident here that Uzi is just carrying the fight. He starts the fight with one-shotting the enemy support, gets a very good angle here, and the main thing here is that Expect turns on him, and I think this is a mistake. G2 should remain grouped here, because not everyone can reach Uzi. Uzi uses ultimate already, let it tick off, and then you can actually re-engage. But Mithy is dead. You just got one-shotted, which is also a big issue. Then, of course, you know, would RNG didn't do Baron yet. They're just pushing the entire base. Are they just not doing Baron? Maybe they just feel confident enough to just take inhib and then Baron. I think it's a real possibility. Mithy just gets one-shotted, and then Sven and Expect just commit when his teammates cannot commit, and Ming flashes over the wall to shield Uzi and peel for him. He still has, like, Ming still has ultimate, so he was in no danger at all, Uzi here, and he got committed on by so many people, and G2 are doing something desperate. MLXG, will he get it? Oh, Rise gets it. Oh. How did this happen? I hate it when we get like replay into some sick shit happening. So the main thing here is maybe RNG just overextended, maybe they overstayed, because we get replay into Baron. Let's see what little we get to see here. So Jace is in base, we can see it. Jace is in base, Twitch is right there. Sejuani is topside, so she sees this happening. Jace is in base, and Janna and Twitch are in mid lane. So Maokai is also in base. He's TPing very far behind. He doesn't have any good TP ward to go to, and G2 are just picking this up for free. Holy moly. Wow. So plain and simple, RNG just overstayed. Maybe the mistake was that Jace went bottom and pushed his own turrets, because breaking inhibitor tower is so important anyway. So maybe the mistake is that Xiaohu is here. Maybe Xiaohu should have been with the team and should have hit the mid towers, and then they should have backed together at a reasonable time instead of hitting inhibitor, because it seems very evident here that they couldn't get it. I thought they could, and that was wrong, right? They should have just hit the mid tower and mid inhib with Jace as well, and then base, ignore bottom tower, and then base, and then walk towards Nashor, and they would have had more time to work with. But it seems like in this scenario where Jace bases and Maokai bases, that they're just too late for the situation, way too late for the situation. It's so hard to assess when we don't actually know for sure, because the replay was in the way. So all things considered now, Gnar is not that useful in teamfight, neither is Rek'Sai. These tanks should be able to deliver more things than like the front line of RNG just heavily outscales the front line of G2. And Twitch, if he manages to kill like key targets here, if he manages to kill like the Lulu, that's the beauty of Twitch. I think he works very similar. Like Twitch in the current meta, he's very good at killing squishy supports. And if he can one-shot Mithy once again like he did, then it feels like RNG is heavily favored in the team fight, heavily favored. It's also that Janna has such an easy time peeling both Gnar and Rek'Sai, and the question is how much damage can Ryze put up to these tanks here. If they do enough damage to just kill the tanks first, then it might be a possibility. Might be a possibility for G2 to actually take home a fight, but I think RNG is definitely favored. By no means does Jace have little damage as well. He has the Black Cleaver, helps out the Twitch a lot. Ryze now gets caught in mid lane. What happens here? What happens? What is he doing? He's just walking back and forth, and then Uzi clips him. Uzi just spots him and just goes for him very, very easily. Like, I'm not sure what Ryze is doing here. He killed one creep, he killed the cannon minion, and then he should just ran to group. I don't know if he should have just maybe ignored the cannon minion, because right now I think he used a lot of cooldowns here. I think he used Seraph's Embrace and he used Redemption. And like, he's just taking a lot of damage. Holy moly. Sven. Oh, that's the crit on Uzi. Uses QSS very fast. Trick ults on Uzi just to peel him. It's good that Uzi, like, this is the best thing Trick can do. Like, make sure that Uzi hits him while his team is killing the enemy tanks. Sejuani is already dead. Holy moly. Stun on Sven here. We need to slow this down because this is insane. Sven can get some resets here. Is he gonna jump in? I think it could be wild. It's so wild. It's so wild, man. Holy moly. Knocks away Uzi and gets the reset. Very well played by Sven. I want to take a step back and look at this. Okay. So it starts off with this situation, and then MLXG is kind of out and about here, because very important here that Uzi has taken some damage, so he needs to lifesteal a little bit. Right now we can see that this chokehold is not a place where RNG wants to go into, so RNG, like MLXG here, trading with Expect is very, very bad. He's not creating any situation. There's no follow-up that can be possible. If Let Me commits here too, then it's going to be very, very bad, because of course RNG don't want to go into this kind of narrow kind of pathway here. So MLXG is doing a mistake here by like being here in the first place, right? So he gets chunked out heavily because G2 is in better position to support this. Keep in mind from before, G2 had this space, and this was kind of how the map was divided, right? So G2 is right here. Mistake from MLXG that we've assessed. He's very low, gets redemption on. Uzi uses his cleanse here. You could argue that maybe with the stun that Expect is putting out here, that maybe Sven could have done more with this. Right here he's stunned, right? Maybe Sven could have walked up to him and ordered him maybe once, maybe twice even. And maybe that could have been enough to just kill him, because right now people are very fragile. People, like 2 crits could be enough to just kill Twitch, right? And on top of that, Janna is not in position to support the Twitch right now. So maybe Sven could have potentially W'd into here and then maybe autoed Twitch here. He doesn't have Ratatatata as well, which is a big deal for this fight, right? Twitch ultimate is so important for fights. It gives him the massive range boost and it makes him so much stronger. We continue playing the clip. We have seen two big things here. Expect does a very good ultimate here, like the fact that he managed to find MLXG and then stuns up a lot of core people here. Very well played from Expect. All of a sudden his Gnar has a lot of value here in the late game fight. Perks is coming from a bad angle, right? But eventually he reaches the fight. He got Maokai slowed. He was not slow, but he got rooted by Maokai. You could see it just before in the clip. Right there, the Maokai ulti comes in here, and it roots him at the beginning of it. So Lemmy is ulting in this direction, and the root hit right. So he's stuck there for some time. That's why he's a bit later to the fight. After that, I love here what Trick is doing. He's trying to just take the attention of Uzi as much as possible. This is the best thing Trick can do at this point. Rek'Sai is not that useful in late game. He can just attack Uzi and force him to attack him, and this is the best case scenario for him, while G2 here are dealing with the tank line of RNG. If they have enough time, you know, if Trick is buying enough time where Uzi is hitting him, then G2 can actually get through this tank line, which is very, very well played. This deserves golden star. Boom. Golden star right there. G2 tanks, they get golden stars. Big F grade here for MLXG because he was the one that got caught. We continue. MLXG gets healed so, let me gets healed so much. It's crazy. He just punches once and he just heals for 1,300. It's absolutely bonkers, man. Sven gets the reset. You can see Zhao Hu here. I want to see how Zhao Hu dies initially. He just gets autoed down by Sven. You see the autos are flying in, and then the combo from Rise does a lot of damage here. Perks is playing well. And then the reset comes in by killing Jace here. Finished up. Just a clean-up fight at this point. Very wild here what Sven did, where he knocks away Uzi and autos. Very, very crazy stuff. Could have ended either way here. I think that's a massive strength of Justana as well, that she can just knock Uzi, like knock Twitch away the moment he ults. Because Twitch, whether you like it or not, is very reliant on his ultimate to be very OP in these late game fights. And G2, with this amazing team fight, is going to secure the Elder Dragon. There's nothing that RNG can do about it. I love the fact that the League of Legends at the highest level, when the macro is very set and done and everyone has the basics down, it comes down to like the mechanical delicacies of team fighting, and that's what we're seeing today. A lot of games today were like that. Absolutely crazy. G2 with the Baron to punish the mistake from RNG because they overstayed. Sadly, we couldn't see exactly what happened in that one. G2 now in a great position, like Justana. Like when late game AD carries are this fed, you know, the fights can go either way, you know. I still feel like G2 will have slightly harder time because they have the weaker tanks. But right now, at this point, when everyone has their penetration items, then, you know, tanks melt either way. And Trick here survived for a very long time, and Expect survived for a very long time. You see Trick sneaking in here with the Q to kill Steel. Nah, he's just securing the kill, of course. Expect and Trick played this team fight very, very well, and Mithy didn't get one-shotted, so that's also positive. Also, a big thing is, because Perks survived when Uzi committed on him, like Uzi used ultimate. So Uzi had ultimate very late in the fight, and that also makes a very big difference. Full items now, both ADs. Has been a while with full items, but I just still want to point it out. So we're going to come down to the next Baron, I assume. Full items as well on Rise. He went for the Frozen Heart. Respectable. CDR as a stat is very good on Rise, and the armor is definitely not bad either in this game. Rise is somewhat of a tank too. I feel like he can trade some blows with Twitch, but of course Twitch is gonna melt him too. Like, he has the Last Whisper on his side. Let's take a step back and check if G2 could actually take position here onto Nash. They are playing rather defensive, and they're playing very respectfully. Is it necessary? They're just pinging out the top wave and sending Rise there. Is this the time to do it? Maybe they could have cleared this earlier on. Yeah, the top wave is slowly stacking, but the same could be said for top. Maybe they should have just sent Expect there to clear the wave right now, and then just play defensively. Like, they could have just sent him right now, right? And it would have been very little risk. But I think the main thing that G2 are thinking about is that Uzi is missing, and wherever, like, they're just respecting the fact that Uzi can be everywhere. And if Expect, for example, goes up top alone, it's, you know, it's not so far-fetched that Twitch goes up there and solos him, you know? So this top wave is definitely a problem. The question is if they should just ignore it, because RNG gets such a massive advantage here because they have a better positioning when it comes to the Baron. Like, RNG could legitimately just start at the moment it spawns. It's 10 seconds still left. Rise is stuck in top lane. He could ult and join the team if that was the case. Is RNG just gonna straight up start the Baron? Yes, they are. Rise is out of position in the sense that he's not grouped up with his team. I'm not too sure if RNG need to be that worried. What is the worst thing that is going to happen here? If G2 commit on them, they have very bad engage, they have a very bad way of committing, they have to hit like Miracle Gnar ultimates, and I feel like Janna can peel that easily. I feel like RNG aren't taking much risks if they just continue to do Nashor. Like, G2 don't have a lot of ways of getting in there in a proper way. And I think that RNG can definitely turn very easily, and it wouldn't be a problem for them to continue doing Nashor there. Big question mark was this big wave on bottom, though. It was up to 3 cannon minions there, and RNG clearing that gives G2 space to take control of the Nash pit area. I don't know if G2 will get a better opportunity than this. They're just starting Nash straight up. It's going to be taken down very, very fast. MSG is polymorphed. Mithy is in the mix. Mithy is very deep. He flashed out. He has the heal. Redemption comes down, but the Twitch is doing so much damage right now. Holy moly, man. Is it the Penta? Is it the Penta? I'm assuming RNG can finish all of this. God bless G2 if they can't. It was a great game. Really, it was a good game. G2 left a lot to be desired for here when Gnar is not using his power in the split push. There were some occasions where maybe I was wrong, but I think definitely there was a lot of cases where Gnar could have pressured the side lane more. If they're going to play it like this, it makes no sense to not just pick another tank, right? If they had the Maokai this game, the game would have been a lot easier, for example. They were the ones with the Gnar counter pick, and it didn't really pay off. I feel like Gnar was definitely weighing them down, and I've always felt like when G2 put a lot of responsibility on Expect that he doesn't deliver. He's more of a supported type of player, and I think that's where he has had the most success. I think, sure, his Gnar has had some regional success, but the opposition he plays against is not that good, and I think this was a big issue for G2. RNG had played very well around the fact that they had a Twitch, and the team fights were insanely close in this game. I think Sven deserves some prop. Trick and Expect played that one team fight very well, that sealed them the deal. I think Perks also did a great job. I think Mithy's performance was left a lot to be desired for. I think this was a great game. I'll see you guys in the next one, I guess. I'm trying to remember what else happened. G2 did this sneaky Nash when RNG kind of overpushed their advantage. They won this big fight. around the Drake area. Not big fight, but there was a situation where Mythy got one-shotted, and then Expect and Sven tried to go for Uzi. It didn't work out. They got killed, and then RNG potentially could just seal the deal by taking Nasher right there, but instead they went for this push, overstayed, and gave G2 the Nasher, and then the G2 of course ulted out. So maybe already there the game was over, but G2 kept the fight up. I think RNG is very good at finding ways to fight against the enemy team. I think MLG did a good job at this, even though this is probably the weakest performance we've seen from MLXG, where he's been caught plenty of times in this game. I love that Sejuani ultimate he had going down mid lane. Generally speaking, I think there was some underperforming members here on G2. I would say Mythy and Expect. And we will just have to see in the upcoming games. G2 are 1-2 now, and the situation looks dire for them, because they will have to beat Samsung in order to pass on to the next stage of the tournament. I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace.